Well, this is a continuation of I Treated Them Like Nothing Part 3. And this is a real tough area right here. As I continue on the situation with my son, his life, and the stage he was in at this point in his life was real tough. After being in the hospital for a short period of time, they couldn't figure out what was wrong with him. They couldn't tell if he was going to live or die. And I didn't know what was going on. All I knew is I needed to pray. And lo and behold, we found out that he was in the coma. He was in a coma from the disorder where his liver doesn't work right, doesn't filter out the poison from his body. So there was my son, 5 days old, laying on his back in a coma. I didn't know what was going on at all. I mean, I was pretty much out of it. But it was a time when I really got close with God. My relationship with Him was unbelievable because I knew I needed Him. There was nobody could help me. No person, no human being could help me in the situation I was in. And there was my son, laying there hopeless. My only son. It was real tough because every day that he was in his coma, what was I, me being a new father, I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what to do. I asked God, a lot of questions, made a lot of promises, real tough time. Lasted 2 whole complete months. My son being laying on his back, went through him. They was filtering his whole body. They was running his body's blood, his blood through what they call a kidney machine. They were filtering his body as if they were filtering a person's kidney, like dialysis. They hooked him to a dialysis machine in order to clean his body, rid his body of ammonia. We pee out the body ammonia. There's a cycle in the liver that separates the ammonia, and we pee out the poison. So throughout his whole birth, throughout his whole time in the womb, his body was completely being poisoned the whole time. So it normally goes undetected because it normally die before they're born because they're being poisoned throughout the whole 9 months. So he was able to beat the odds by making it to even be born. Normally it would be a stillbirth. But this was one sign of a miracle in the making. They said, Mr. White, this is tough, but he's beat a lot of odds as it is. I still, couldn't grasp it. I didn't know what was going on. I began to really question God, question everything, and I didn't know what was going to be the outcome. I'm scared. And lo and behold, it took me to have faith, complete faith, in something I had no idea of. I began to ask God to, just give me the strength to make it through. I needed to be there for everyone around. I'm the father, so there was no sense in me losing it or, figuring out, thinking what I could do, couldn't do. It was time for me to be strong for my only son. And throughout this time, with me and my son's mother, our relationship being so rocky, we had to put a lot of things aside. All our differences had to be put aside. And this was real tough, because I had treated her like nothing. You know what I'm saying? Tricking, going out, staying out all night, all the way through her whole pregnancy. So, we had to put all our differences aside in order to be there for our son. But the relationship was on the rocks at the beginning. I didn't know how it was going to turn out. I just knew I had to be strong. So, it was a time where I began to pray so deep and intimate. I used to pray and ask God to help me. I wanted communication with my son. I needed some closure. I said, God, I need you to help me. And during this time, I used to put my finger in the incubator in my son's hand and wrap his finger around it, and I used to ask some questions. And, I used to say, are you still with me? Squeeze my hand one time. He would squeeze my hand one time. And I, asked him questions like, are you gonna make it out? Squeeze my hand one time. Squeeze my hand. Throughout this was a weird cycle, because a weird time, because I was being shown some things that nobody had a clue of the connection that me and my son had, and how God was revealing himself to me more and more real. Throughout this whole 2 months, that was my daily thing. I communicated prayer and my son squeezing my hand, yes and no. I asked him questions the whole time. And, he was able to come out of that coma. After 2 months, boom, came out of the coma. Came to find out, the medication he was taking was experimental, because the kids normally die before they're born. So he was so rare, his situation was so rare, that we had to sign for the medicine to be approved that wasn't approved by the FDA. And I'm like, whoa, all these different, these things, all I prayed for was to have a son. And here I am going through all of this. And I wouldn't trade it for the world, because it built a spiritual side of me that truly miracles. God revealed some miracles to me throughout this time. But after the 2 months after him coming out of the coma, it was so many complications, because he wasn't able to be normal kid as far as eating regular foods. He was forced to be a vegetarian. No red meats, not too much protein, no whole milk. He had to have milk made every day. He had to take all these different types of medicine. It was like, man, come on. I'm like, God, thank you, but whoa, after the 2 months, he was able to come home, and it was a tough time for me and his mother, because we had buried a lot of hatchets on a lot of the things that we had been through, but they were still fresh, and then as my son began to come around, began to get better, I began to go out a little more. I seen that he was out of the woods. He had his special needs, but I still found time to do stupid things. Still going out. I went back on everything that I told God I wasn't going to do for him to help me out of the situation, and here I am back out in the streets. And treating his mother the same way that I did when she was when she was pregnant. Straight smut everything that God did in my face, in his face. I began to change. I wasn't as humble as I was. Being cocky and arrogant. And here I am again, drinking, smoking, all these different things that I promised to God I wasn't going to do. He helped my son out of his coma. So, what does God do? A couple years later, not a couple years, a little bit later, took me through something else. Took me through multiple times of being in the hospital, my son was in and out of the hospital, back and forth. He was very, very special kid. I still did all types of things with him, took him to get his hair cut. I was there for him or whatever, but still, I'm still acting a damn fool. I'm gonna cut some of the, about all that stuff out, and then, me and his mother couldn't make it anymore. I guess all the weight of everything that I'd done, the continuous doing the same thing over and over, we decided to separate. And I moved out, got my own place, and we tried to work it out, work our friendship out, keep a relationship, on the son level, That didn't work for too long. I came to Florida, and I'm down here in Florida, and I got a call. This is over a period of 4 years, because at the age when he was 4 years old, I was in Florida. I couldn't make it with her. I didn't want to be there. I left. And here I am in Florida, getting high, acting the fool, and I get a call. And it was my son on the phone. And, he asked me where was I. Never forget it. The last conversation I had with him, he said, where are you? I said, in Florida. And he said, why? Daddy, why are you in Florida? And at that time, I didn't know why I was in Florida. I knew why I was in Florida. Couldn't make it with his mom. Didn't want to be there. And I was getting high. Here I am sitting down here, acting a fool. And my son wants to know, why am I not there? Why am I not by his side? Maybe a month later, got another call. This call was the one. They called me, and I went down to my Aunt Eula Mae's house and called back, and I was like, what's going on? They said, well, little Calvin is back in the hospital. Not looking good. And I kind of began to pray again, because I had this communication with God, even though I still was acting a fool. And I prayed, and God revealed something to me and said, it's not good. Not good at all. So got on the plane, got on the bus, and here I am coming back to New York. Pretty broke down, lost a lot of weight from using and ripping around the streets. And when I got to the hospital, first thing I wanted to do was sleep. At a time like this, I went in and saw him, did what I normally did when he was in the coma the first time, and asked him questions, squeezed my hand, no response. There was no connection. I was sitting there looking at all the different monitors. They're beeping, but I knew something, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, I didn't understand I didn't fully grasp it yet. So I left the room, went back to the Ronald McDonald House, what they call it, and went to sleep. And someone came in, woke me up, and said, "You need to get up right now and come check on your son, see what's going on." So there I was. I went back into the room, and finally got the news that he wasn't responding. They had heavy medicated him. My son passed away that day, and right now to this day, it hurts me because I think about what I could have, should have done. If I would have only just did this or did that. I'm gonna stop it right there.